Okay, good afternoon, good morning, and perhaps even good evening to all of you joining us today. This is Brian Niles. I am the founder and chief evangelist here at TargetX, and we're going to get started on our series of 2015 product previews that we're having. Today we're going to be talking about the online application, and I really appreciate everybody joining us. Before we get started, I would like to let you know that if you have any questions during today's webinar, feel free to use the GoToWebinar control panel and post your question there. We'll take some breaks during today's event to answer your questions. We also have some frequently asked questions that we will be sharing with you near the end of today's session, so feel free to do that. We're also going to be recording this session, so if you have any colleagues that could not join us today, we will be emailing everyone a link to the recorded version of today's webinar. Thanks so much for joining us. We're really excited about showing you some really neat things that we've been working on here at TargetX that will be released this year. This one has to do with the online application. But before we jump into that, let me first introduce my colleague, friend, and the awesome Angel Navedo.
Thank you, Brian. Good to see you, and good to be with you, and good to be with everyone. Hello.
Cool. Angel is on the West Coast. I am on the East Coast, and we are been working hard with lots of folks here on the TargetX team on the online application. So we're really excited to talk to you about that today, show you some prototypes that are in development right now, and tell you a little bit more about our plans for releasing what we think is going to be really one of the best online application experiences in the industry. So let's get into it a little bit. First of all, when we build an online application, and this is our third generation of our own, and we're really excited about some of the technology we're now able to embrace with this application. When we looked across the industry, I have a sophomore in high school who's starting to look at colleges, who started to look at what the application process looks like from her point of view, started to actually look at some applications with some of the students that we follow. We've done some research as well. And what's really amazing is that we see a lot of kind of older technology, older user interface, and the like. And I think that it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we do something to improve upon as well. So let's go in there and look at some of the things that we saw when we were looking at an application. First of all, we saw a lot of poor user interface. Basically, a lot of the capabilities of the systems, while they were capable, just the experience just wasn't all that great, particularly when you're talking about mobile devices, and we're going to talk about that today as well. A big disconnect between the app and the CRM. So it seems like a lot of schools certainly have a CRM solution, but how do they connect those with their application? There's a lot of integration that goes on. It seems like we could solve that problem as well. Definitely the application is a separate portal, meaning that there's a whole separate site that students have to go to for the application that they do with you, and why can't they be interconnected? And certainly, finally, the lack of administrative functionality is what we heard from our clients who are using other solutions as well, is that they don't have the ability to manage their applications. We figured these are the things that we could probably solve with our application, and that's what we set our sites out to do. We have some product philosophies here at TargetX that we like to embrace, and these are the four that are really important to us. First of all, since we are on the Salesforce platform, we want to try and be Salesforce native first. If we can do it on the Salesforce platform and do it exceptional on there, that is our first choice. That eliminates all sorts of integrations with different solutions and moving data around. We want to eliminate that, keep everything in one place. The second is we want an exceptional user interface. We hired award-winning user interface, user experience company here outside Philadelphia to help us do the design work, do the research prior to that, and we think we've got some great things that we're going to be putting in the marketplace with that. Third is just putting more of the tools in your hands. We want you to be able to manage your application as much as possible. We get that a lot from our customers. You don't want to have to call us and make changes to deadlines and application tweaks, add a field here, change a requirement over there. We want to be able to put that in your hands. And finally, it needs to be mobile optimized. We believe anything that we're putting, particularly in the student's hands, but even in your hands, it has to have a mobile component. So those are our product philosophies. We really believe in those, and that's what's been embraced in all of our product development, including our online application. So we did some research with students and with adults and with college and university administrators, and we felt like They're the ones who could tell us exactly what we should be doing, and we should do that. So we spent a lot of time researching what is going to be important here beyond what we thought was important. We have a saying here that the person who has the answer is not in the building. So we went outside the building and we talked to some folks about this. They said we have to have accessibility by the phone or tablet. They're completing applications. We'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes. Using their mobile devices, so can it be accessible with that? All the applications I've looked at that are available in the marketplace, none of them really were optimized for mobile devices and very difficult to complete. You're pinching and squeezing, and you're finding buttons, and you're missing fields because your fingers are bigger than the fields on your mobile phone. Those are some things we wanted to solve. Second one is that they told us that they wanted to be guided through the process. I think we all know how complicated the admissions process is for students, how stressful it is, and how can we guide them through that? How can we also help them stay organized? This is obviously they're applying to many schools, and how can we keep them organized within the system? And then finally, how do we keep them engaged with the institution? Since we are believing in mobile first, keeping them within the Salesforce environment, we can use the tools, use the platform to stay engaged with the student as well. So those are things that we figured we probably could address in our new online app. The second group that we talked to were colleges, were all of you. So some of you on the call here were part of that research. First thing we heard is we want to be able to build applications on your own. You wanted more tools in your hands. You wanted a simple interface. We call it clicks, not code, and can we put a lot of this into the interface so that the people who are managing your online apps don't have to know Apex coding or Java or anything like that, but they can actually drag and drop and click versus writing code to manage your applications. You need the ability to brand your application. Certainly understand that. We're going to show you the student side of this, and Angel will be able to talk to you about some of the places where you'll be able to manage the brand elements of it as well. And then finally, giving you the ability to manage deadlines and make changes. And that's really part of not just building the applications, but being able to manage the changes on your own, not having windows of time to but being able to go in there, log into your org, and be able to make those changes yourself. So those are things that were really important to you, and of course became really important to us as well. So let's talk about the application. There are three parts to the online application that we are building here. The first one actually is already done. It's been part of our application system the last two generations, and of course gets migrated into this third generation of the app, and we did a lot of tweaks and enhancements to this. But the basic functionality is still the same. Essentially, we want to be able to build application objects in Salesforce and be able to provide a requirements manager. We call it the Applications Requirements Manager, which gives you the ability to go in there and modify application types and what is required for each application type, and then that automates in the workflows that we've designed for you. So that's already been done. We're not even going to get into that today. It's already part of our application. We'd be glad to show you how that works if you haven't seen it before. But the two that we've been spending most of our time over the past few months are the form builder and the online application itself. We think of an online application as a series of connected forms. It's basically what it is when you boil it down. The form builder is really then critically important to this. We wanted to build a form building tool that is designed for our system, designed for the application, that's easy to use, again, back to that clicks not code concept, but also is native to Salesforce. We want to build native form building tool so you're not going outside of Salesforce to build an application and then coming back in. And that's what we've done, and we're going to show you that in a minute. The second piece to it, which Angel then will show you, is the actual online application itself, the student-facing side. And that piece of it is where the students go in and set up their account and start applying for admissions, see the results of it. You can even submit the decisions and other pieces of information. You'll see that in a few minutes as well. So some pretty exciting things happening there. All right, safe harbor statement. If you've ever seen a Salesforce presentation as a publicly traded company, they always put the safe harbor statement out there. Ours is a little less wordy, so we're keeping it very clear and very easy. First of all, we are presenting prototypes today. The prototypes are actually functionally prototypes. They're not, they're in development. We are currently in beta. We've gone through the alpha stage and done all the functionality of it. In the beta stage, we're putting the user interface on top of it and getting rid of all the bugs that came about through the development process. We actually have clients testing it today. Our beta clients are actually using the solution. And we do have a general release of July 1st. of our new online application. That probably begs the question as to when do you all get it. We're going to come to that at the end of today's webinar as well. So hold those questions for the moment. But our plan, and we are on track to have a general release of the third generation online app by July 1st. Okay, that's safe harbor statement. Let's talk about the form builder. Form builder is really important, as I said, to this. And first of all, we wanted to be able to create clicks, not code. So we look at this as drag and drop, being able to create cards. Now, something that's here is when I am completing an application on a mobile device, I need to be able to see only a certain number of fields on the screen. You'll be able to do many of them if you like, but we're going to guide you as to how many might fit on the screen so that the students are not scrolling up and down a lot. So we look at this as more on the concept of cards. So smaller chunks of information on a screen at a given time so the students basically can flip through complete information along the way. You certainly need to have conditional validations and views, meaning that we want to validate fields and show other fields based on what somebody might have answered before. A perfect example, which happened during our Scrum development session today, is when somebody selects country, what fields show up after that. In the United States, we'll show state. In Canada, you'll show province, and other parts of the world, different types of fields will then appear. That's a very simple way of describing that, but I think you get the idea. Also, based on what the student completes, we might also validate other information and add other information to the student's record without showing the student. So we might actually create a field, create an entry, but not actually show it to the student. Might be a source, might be all sorts of things. So that's something that's also part of this. We're talking about forms. We're building forms over and over again, typically. So we want to be able to give some bulk building tools and duplications of these forms as well in the system. A good example of this, again, I'll use address, is that the address field, if you're building multiple applications for different types of programs, you might build, first address, second address, city, state, zip, country. Well, we're building you a bulk tool so you can just say, just give me the address block and put it into place. We're also giving the ability to duplicate those so you're not constantly recreating them from scratch. And finally, fully Salesforce native. We don't have to replicate fields in an application system. You're actually using the fields in the CRM to be able to build those forms for the application. Even labels. So if you might have a label for one field that says X, another application you might want to say Y, and you can do that without having to actually go into the CRM and change the labels on the field itself. One thing I like to point out, by the way, is that since this is fully Salesforce native, when I talk about things like the fields and the forms, I'm not talking about different systems. I'm actually talking about the CRM itself. Okay, so that's Form Builder. Let me jump over here. I'm actually going to go right in and take a look at that and show you what the form looks like. Here we are. This is the form building tool. It is native to Salesforce. You can see some examples here. We have the cards. We have the name card, the address card, and below that, contact information card. But along the left-hand side are all the fields that are available. For many of you that are used to the reporting tools native to Salesforce, when you start typing a field here at the top in the reporting tool, it starts to filter down the fields. That's the same concept that we have as well. We'll also have different types of structured objects broken down. So if you just want to look at fields in the applications object, you'll be able to just show those as well and then filter down from there. And then it's simply dragging and drop from the left-hand side onto a card. And then from there, you can jump over and do the validation for that particular field. Here you would see the pre-populated list of options. This is phone number type is the field we're showing here. And you'll see the different phone number types. The label is showing on the left-hand side, and the value, which is what is actually coming from Salesforce for this field, will show up on the right-hand side. Here's where we can change the label. As I mentioned, we can also hide this field if we want. So this would be something that would get populated perhaps based on a previous answer to a question, but yet we don't want to show that we're populating this field to the student. We're just going to enter certain data into this record based on that previous information. And then, of course, validation and conditional display is available in this screen as well. Here's where we will actually decide where and when this field will actually show up, and then validate it, for example, email addresses and phone numbers and those kinds of things. So very simple. We do like how this all came together. It makes it very easy for you to create these cards and save them, duplicate them, preview them. You'll be able to preview them on different devices so you can see what they look like to make sure during your development you'll be able to optimize that view as well. All right, so that's the form builder. Pretty straightforward. A lot of development is going into that right now, particularly on the user interface side of things. And it's really coming along nicely. I think our beta clients have been overwhelmingly excited about what we're providing them with that tool as well. All right, let's jump on the online application. I'm actually going to pass it over to Angel in a few minutes to show him show his screen so he can present the online application to you as well. But Angel, why don't you take it away from here?
Thank you. Shared just in Brian's excitement. We're really excited about this product, and I'm excited to show you what we got in terms of the user interface for the applicants. We heard the students' message around wanting a really engaging, organized, and guided experience, and hopefully you agree we've come. So there were a number of things. Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to pass it over to you here as well. So you have that.
Is that displaying, Brian?
You got it. You're in.
All right. Perfect. So here are a few key bullets on what we were going for the online application based on the research that Brian described. First was a mobile-first design. A few studies have shown 40 to 67% of applicants are using mobile devices to fill out online applications. I was at a conference last week where they quoted a similar number for Common App users. So this was big, and as Brian said, this is not something that a lot of online applications handle very well. So we definitely wanted to make sure that the experience for our customers, applicants on mobile devices was something we considered in the design. That means a few things: big fields, big buttons, smaller chunks. So when you're going through the application, you don't have to do a lot of scrolling. You're in a section. You're able to move from section to section in an intuitive and engaging way. So that was crucial. Second, obviously, you care about your brand, and you do a lot of work in designing your websites. And so we want to make sure that you can keep that branding, the key institutional branding, within the online application, and we'll highlight some areas where you'll be able to do that. And finally, we want to get the experience for the student. So guided meaning that it's easy for them to navigate around the application. They know where they stand in terms of progress, and it's engaging. It's visually pleasing. It's not something that is going to add to the stress of the application, but really be an engaging and exciting experience for the applicant. So let me jump into our prototype. So let me just talk through this first page here. So this will give you a sense of some of the styling that we are integrating into the online application to allow you to brand. So an area for a banner with a banner image for your school, color palettes and fonts that you can control yourself. And then here is a sample landing page for an online application. So here I'm William. I've logged into the online application, and I get some targeted content. First, there's a counselor. So in the CRM, I've been matched to a specific counselor based on my region or however you match applicants to counselors. So here it's pulling in that counselor's name and an image for them, and I can send them a message directly from this landing page. I also have begin my application, giving me a progress. So I'm 1% complete because I have signed in, so my name is part of the application now. And then finally on the right side here, there's a calendar of events that I can view that are happening on campus. So you can really tailor this page to present that engaging and guided experience for your applicants. So as William, I'm going to go ahead and start this application by clicking on that button. And let me just walk you through this page. So first, you see the card concept that Brian was referencing. This is what we mean. So here is the personal information card. It's just 4 fields, and once I fill out these fields, I move on to the next card. On the left side here, there are some buttons that represent the various sections of this application. If I expand this little hamburger menu, I can see the various sections, and I can jump to sections if I want to. This application, so it's William, James Murray. And once I continue, I'll notice that now that section is marked as green on the top left here, which means it has been completed. I can continue here and type my birthday, 2000. If I skip this section, so I filled out something, but if I skip it and move to the next section, I can see, I can see that now I have a completed section and an in progress section. So very quick visual indicator of how I'm doing on my application. The empty circles I haven't started yet, the green circles I have completed, and you see the in progress, which is orange and half completed.
One of the key things here, Angel, I think it's important to point out is that one thing we found in applications, and students mentioned this as well, is that almost all the fields are required, yet we mark them as required, thus creating a visually not so pleasing view of all those different indicators. So we've taken that, flipped the concept around to just showing an indicator for fields that are optional.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Yeah, and it's something I think as an applicant, I remember you feel like you have to fill out everything. So it's nice to give an indicator of what are the optional fields, as opposed to having all of those required red asterisks around the application. So I can continue filling out this application. I'm going to jump to the essay section to show you what it would look like to upload a document. So here I have upload a file, and on the right side here there's space for some instructional text, so you can give them some essay writing tips, perhaps point them to a URL, something that that you have on your website. And I can simply click the cloud, go to my application materials, and upload this PDF. It will give me the name that I included in that PDF, so I can quickly see what I've uploaded. Continue. To Brian's point, you can also mark a whole section as optional. So I see that this is optional here, and I can decide, well, I'm going to skip this one. And again, I can very quickly see on the left side here how I'm doing. So in terms of that guided experience, I can see I've completed 2, I'm in progress in 2, and I've skipped a bunch of sections here. So very easy for me to see. For the recommender, you can add some information that will help the applicant understand where they stand into the recommendations. I'm sorry. So there's this review your application button at the top right here. Once I'm ready to start looking at my application materials and check to see the information I've entered, I can click that button. Because I've entered a lot more information, it's giving me a higher percentage complete, and I can just scroll on the left here to see the information that I've entered in this application. So again, very guided, organized, clean interface, and engaging for the applicant. Once I'm ready to submit, and again, we're using these big buttons, which I'll show you on my phone in a minute, so what this looks like on mobile. But I can submit my application. Congratulations, William. My application's been submitted successfully. And part of our roadmap, something that's not going to be available on July 1st, but things that we're considering, I'll show you now. It's a work in progress page that you might display to an applicant after they've been admitted. So I click OK here. So now it's the same landing page, but there's more information because William is now an admitted candidate. So for example, there are checklist items related to my enrollment. I can respond to my, reply to my offer, look at my financial aid awards, etc. There might be message boards that you want to point them to, meet your roommate, some more events related to for admitted students. So this, as it's marked, is a work in progress, but this is what we're working towards for a later release of the online application, so you can continue that guided and engaging experience for your admitted candidates as well through this same portal. We talked a lot about mobile, so I want to show you what this online application looks like on a mobile device. Let me share that screen. There we go. So here's my phone. So this is the same landing page, but you see it's now the data, the information is stacked. You can see how compelling those nice big buttons are. Very easy for me to press, to touch that Start Application button. It takes me right into the application. I can tap that hamburger menu there to see the various sections of the application. And you can see how nice these cards are for a mobile experience. I'm only seeing 4 fields. I don't have to scroll. I'm not going to get lost in this application. I can very easily tap on that, type my information with typos. Right here. There we go. Click continue and go to the next section. So again, optimized for mobile with big fields, big buttons, and these smaller chunks that really allow the applicant to feel like they're in an organized and guided experience within your online application.
Angel, one of the things that I talk about what questions I get when I show this off on a mobile device, I think we're all, particularly folks within our age range, surprised that students are completing an application on their mobile device. I'd probably have a hard time doing it, particularly the way a lot of them have been designed. The research that you mentioned earlier, the 40 to 67%, that was Ruffalo Noel Levitt's and EduVentures respectively, is really about they complete some form of their application. I think it's, if you start thinking about a high school student in particular, that they're sitting in study hall or during lunch and they want to just complete a few pieces of information, they can very easily do it right from their phone, very easily log in and complete more. They might not be completing everything. Obviously, uploading essays from a mobile phone might not be the best way to do that. But I think when we think about where and when they do things on their mobile devices, having it mobile optimized is critical today, and I could not find one that actually already is that way. So I think we're leapfrogging a bit in the market here to get the students what they really want.
All right. So Brian, I'll turn it back over to you.
That sounds great. Thank you, Angel. And I hope you all like that. I think it's going to be a very interesting experience for the students. And just jump through here as they utilize the application as well. As Angel said, the mobile piece is just critical to all of this. Here's a view of what it would look like on a tablet. No surprise, shares the exact same interface. And by the way, it's not just responsive design. If you understand user interface design, as we've been learning from our partner company, is that it's also optimizing that for the field, the size of the buttons, just showing what the button should be for touch. This is a touch generation, and we need to make sure we optimize it that way. So a lot of this has been put together as part of this. So as we've been talking about, this application is fully Salesforce native, as is the form building tool that we've designed. And we are using for the student-facing side what is called the customer community license with Salesforce. They will be logging in. It will be logged in to an interface that we've developed, as you've seen, but it is using Salesforce's authentication, using Salesforce's data security. There's no integration between other third-party solutions and integration tools. And of course, you all, as customers, know about the industry-leading uptime that Salesforce provides. So we're leveraging all of that in these solutions as well. Eliminating some integration and fully embracing the platform is key for us here. Before I get into some FAQs, let me take a quick view of some of the questions, and Angel, maybe you can help me out with some of these answers as well as we go through them. The first question we have is there an option in the field logic to conditionally display entire cards and sections instead of individual fields? Right now we're doing it based on individual fields, Mark. Good question. We do have plans, though, of looking at full sections that can be conditionally shown or not shown. That's definitely in our development roadmap, and but the initial concept is through the field piece as well. But maybe that's something that we can share with you how we're planning on doing that, and Mark, maybe you can give us some guidance as to what you think might work. Appreciate that. Second one, can I use the form builder and our application object in CRM rather than the TargetX app objects? I assume we're talking about if you built a custom application in the CRM. That is a good question. I'm not really sure, but I'm not quite sure that's the full question, so I might wait on that one for the moment. I'll take your second part of the question. First one, feel free to submit some clarification on that. Second part of your question, though, here was, can we pre-fill data in the form? Yes, if that information is available for that student in the CRM, it will pre-populate onto the application. So yes, that's definitely something that we haven't done before, and will be very exciting in this application as well. Okay, and then the next question we have here, pre-populating fields. Just answer that one. So yes, pre-populating fields will be possible in here if that information is in the CRM. Can a student submit multiple applications under the one account? Yes, absolutely. In fact, we do that today. We do allow for multiple applications in the CRM, and that will continue to exist in this third generation of our online app. Size limit for uploading documents. There is a size limit based on Salesforce criteria. Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what that is, but that's something that, Melissa, we can get that information to you. But there is a size limit based on Salesforce uploads. I want to say I'm not even going to hazard a guess at it, but there is a limitation when you get that information as well.
I believe it's 5 megabytes.
5 megabytes. Thanks. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Pre-populating as a popular question. So clearly that's a request people have had. So we put the pre-populating fields in there. Our application fees paid through the application, PCI compliance. We're not changing the way we do that today, which means we work with your payment. We have built our own payment gateways to go with your payment processing systems. Right now, we support PayPal, TouchNet, and CashNet, and those will continue through in this online application as well. So if you're not familiar with the way TargetX does it, we do not actually accept the payment directly. It goes right into your payment processor, and the student is alerted that it's been received. All right, next question we have here. Posting, how do I post a form on a web portal? So this is we're looking at the communities. Communities is essentially a rebranding of the Salesforce portal, and that's basically what this is here. We would have to test if you want to then embed that portal within another portal, but we should talk about that as to what your goal is there, and we can test it out with you and see if that's something that's possible. But it is using the Salesforce communities. The nice thing also with Salesforce communities is that you have lots of options for single sign-on. You can utilize single sign-on from other systems, from even Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., and you can take advantage of that as well. And any email validation built into the system? Good question. Email validation is built in from when the student does sign in. They sign in using their email address, and then they're confirmed through an email message, and that's how they confirm who they are, come back again. So it's that kind of authentication. All right, so Angel, I'm going to go through some more questions in a few minutes. Let's jump into some of our frequently asked questions that we received while we've been doing this. For our current customers, which I think is going to answer some of the questions that we got in the webinar today, when can I upgrade? Angel, when can they upgrade?
So the application, as Brian mentioned, becomes available July 1st. Implementation takes about 2 to 3 months. So let us know if you're interested, and we can get that conversation going. But there is a process, obviously, in working with our implementation team. But the system is so easy to use that it really cuts down on how long it takes to build an application. So yeah, so we're excited to work with customers who are willing to build applications using the easy-to-use form builder, and we can have those conversations this summer.
Sounds good. Excellent. Probably the follow-up to that question is, when do I have to upgrade? This is one that we are not going to force all of you to upgrade right away. Clearly, we know that you're in application cycles, and try and time it when you are ready to upgrade to the new system. And if you're not interested in upgrading in the time being, at least through the rest of your contract, we're going to keep the system going. Eventually, and very transparent here, eventually, yes, we will be turning off the version 2, which is what some of you are using today. But for the moment, during your contract and during, at least from this year, in next year, we won't be forcing you to upgrade at this point. Can you build your own applications? Absolutely. I think Angel just addressed that one, is that yes, you will have the tools in your hand to build your own applications. We will be helping you with that. If you are a new customer of our application that we will start with in the process of doing your implementation of the CRM, then you can tweak that and modify that as well. And of course, during the implementation, we'll do that along with you. But if you'd like to start one from scratch, create one from scratch, clone them, you'll be able to do that also. Angel, how about this one? Form builder for recommendations in the system.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Brian, that this is the online application is a form, and so is the recommendation form. So we use the same form builder to build your recommendation forms, and you can have various recommendation forms based on different kinds of recommenders as well.
Excellent. I manage deadlines and app changes. I think we addressed that one already a couple times, but yes, absolutely. This is probably the most frequently asked question or need that was addressed from our current customers, because currently they have to contact TargetX support team, who loves talking to you about those capabilities in your hands and be able to do them whenever you'd like. And yes, we will give you that capability in the system as well. That's probably top of the list of what our customers wanted. And
related to that and to building your own application, just wanted to mention, part of the system for the administrative side is to make it easier for those of you that manage multiple applications for your schools. So whether it's multiple applications for the same, for the undergraduate program or across graduate and undergraduate programs, you can replicate sections of applications across a set of your applications. So if you made a change to a section of a form, that change would go across all the various applications, or could go across all of the applications that you're currently managing. So tools like that make it really much easier for folks who are managing multiple applications. Or as Brian mentioned, you can also clone existing applications if you want to make changes to them as a template.
Excellent. Any other additional costs? The only additional cost is Salesforce community licenses that you will need for the new online application. I won't be, you can discuss that with your Salesforce account exec, but there are two different license types in communities. One is named user licenses, and the other one is based on logins per month. We are recommending to our customers that they go with the logins per month. It'll be much more economical, and we can work with you on a formula to determine how many of those you might need going forward. And Salesforce is very flexible in how those seasonally change based on application cycles as well. But other than that, no, there won't be any other additional costs to this new online app. All right, other questions. Let me bring up our questions here. We do have a bunch from our attendees here, so let me see if there are some that we did not address that I can answer here. And will the licensing model remain the same? Correct. The licensing model for the moment will remain the same, with the exception of having the customer community licenses in there as well. SEMA, that's something that we can also discuss with you with your TargetX account exec as well. Cost upgrading, no. As long as you're in contract, we don't plan on charging anything more for upgrading to version 3. So that is definitely something that is not going to change, and I hope you appreciate that. We think that's important. We would like to encourage you to move to the new online application version. We think it's not only better, but it's also a better experience for your students, and that's most important to us as well. All right, let's see what we have here. You mentioned adding our own logos. We'll be able to change the themes in CSS. Angel, yes, changing themes in CSS within the user interface for the student.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you have as much control as you want on that. So we'll help you do some of the basic, adding a logo, changing the fonts. But if you have staff that are able to create your own CSS, then that is something that you absolutely have control over.
The next one we have here, and Angel, you might know best the answer to this one, is there functionality for using promotion codes and waivers for application fees? I know that's been discussed on our product group.
Yes. There's a story. That is on the roadmap. That will not be available in V1, but it's something this is a common request, so certainly it's an active consideration for an upcoming release.
The form builder, can we map form builder to custom object applications? So this is a question, clarification of the question earlier, is actually mapping fields from custom objects that are from somebody who might have created their own custom application or other, let's just say other custom objects that they've developed in the CRM. I believe the answer to that question is yes. You can actually grab any field from any object in the CRM to include in a form. Is that accurate?
That is how I understand it. Yes, correct.
Excellent. Cool. Let's see. Will pre-populated information be editable? Yes. So the student's information will be pre-populated, and they can overwrite that, modify that in that application as they complete that. Integration to third parties. You mentioned that there will be no integration of third parties. Will the new app work with Ellucian or Banner? There will be integration, as there is today, between the CRM and your SIS or ERP, like Banner. That doesn't change, but the application to the CRM integration goes away. Something that you may or may not be aware of today, that our application that's not built on Salesforce natively does have an integration tool between that and the CRM. This new application generation will eliminate that integration as well. But the integration between the CRM and your ERP stays the same. That doesn't change at all. Can the application save and later resume a previously saved application? Absolutely, and probably one of the things we didn't mention, and we should make sure that we point this out, is it is automatically saving as they go from field to field. They don't actually have to press save. There is an indicator on the top right-hand side of the screen for the student that is a little check mark and says saved on it, so it's clear that they know that as they're going, it is being saved, and that we didn't want them to have to press the save button to actually say they've submitted it. It's going right into the CRM.
And related to that, there's a later question, could admission staff see unsubmitted data? And the answer is yes. All of the in-progress data is being saved directly to the student's record in your CRM. So even for your in-progress applicants, you can see how they're doing. You can see where you're losing applicants if for the folks that don't end up submitting applications, it's available to you given that this is a native Salesforce application.
Excellent. Next question, are there any mobile devices it is not optimized for, BlackBerry for instance? We are definitely optimizing for anything that will handle HTML5. So we're talking about your modern mobile platforms. As far as BlackBerry, it's probably something we'll have to test and see how far back they go. I'm not familiar with how far back BlackBerry optimization will go when it comes to HTML5, but that's certainly something that we'd look at. But it is definitely not dependent upon, say, iOS or Android specifically, or even Windows Mobile. It will work at least with those three modern platforms, of course. Hope I didn't offend any BlackBerry users out there. That one, just not as familiar about that, but we'll definitely have our dev team check that out. Yes, we already talked about submitting. Do they appear in Salesforce in real time? Yes, the data is right in real time because we actually are in Salesforce. So we have being able to see the progress of the application for each applicant. So you have all that data is right in the CRM, so you can see it go along in real time there. Can the submitted application be printed on the school side? Yes, we have clients that are using our Conga solution for printing the applications on the school side, or if they have an image integration solution, they can do that. But Conga is a tool that's being used for many of our clients for printing the application on the institution side. As much as I shudder every time I hear that, I certainly understand that schools still have the need to print applications off of the CRM. All right, a lot of questions about seeing unsubmitted information, seeing submitted information. That's all real time, of course. And implementation costs, I think we already addressed all of that as well. see. I'm just going to scroll through here to see. We've got a lot of questions. Thank you, everybody, by the way, for asking all your questions. I know that this is a big enhancement for you, so there are that are important to all of you. Let's see, a lot of the same questions. Yeah, I think there's a. So if somebody submits the application, this is actually a really good question. This is one that we're working on right now. If somebody could, if they submit the application and go back and complete or change that information, the way it works, and the same as it is today, but we're going to be adding a new functionality to this, is right now, once the student fills out their application and presses that submit button, they can't change the information again. And that will stay the same in our application. However, and this is actually pretty important that we've learned from business schools in particular for some reason, is that once an application is submitted, business schools and probably others as well would like the student to be able to submit more information. And the use case that we have heard is that while they're in the application review process, the person gets a new job and wants to submit an updated resume. We don't want to replace that information. We want to append their application, and that's a functionality that we are looking at adding in either the first or the second iteration of this. It's definitely on the roadmap for inclusion in the online app. And we'll know more about that as we get closer to July. I'll tell you more about where you're going to hear more about this in a few minutes. Let's see. So the application is matched with a prospective student in the CRM, and it is doing it based on their email address. That's how we're initially doing that authentication. And the nice thing here, the next question I got here from Melissa is functionality in the online app to set up automated reminders when application deadlines are approaching. Since we are dealing with the Salesforce platform, we're dealing with the CRM, you can set up whether it's email reminders or text reminders using our SMS solution that's fully on the platform, so we'd be able to set up workflows to alert the student when they need to go in and complete their application. We also have seen that just as soon as they hit submit to submit the completed application, you can immediately trigger a text message to them that says, "Thank you, we've received your application." So using all of the functionality in the CRM, we're going to encourage you to be utilizing all that to stay engaged. Again, remember what the student said. They want to stay engaged with you, and you now have the tools to be able to do that as well. So some really good questions there. One of the other things that you should know about, as we said, we are releasing July 1 on this. So this is going to be a major highlight of our CRM User Summit this summer in July. And I probably should have put a slide in here to show that information, but you can go to our website for that information. We encourage all of our customers, as well as anybody who is currently evaluating CRM solutions, to join us at our CRM Summit. We have over 400 people in attendance this year, 2.5 days, including a half day or full day of training, 3 days, full day of training this year. That's optional as well for anyone. It is in Washington, D.C., July 19th to the 21st. We highly encourage you to join us at that. One of the things, if you haven't been to our CRM User Summit, is that probably the most important value you're going to get out of that is interacting with other customers, finding out how they're doing things. Most of the sessions include our customers, some of them being run fully by our customers, and we want them to be able to put their best information forward and help you improve your use of the system as well. So I encourage you to do that, and that is where we're going to be really talking more about the online application. It will be released at that point. We'll be showing you full-on functionality as well as the roadmap going forward for the next round of enhancements to that app. I encourage you to look at the CRM Summit if you haven't already. All that information is up on our website. All right, Angel, you and I are up again next week. We're going to do another product preview here with the Decision Cloud, which is near and dear to your heart, of course.
Of course, yes. So for those of you that are reviewing applications, the Decision Cloud is our web-based and iPad-based review. So once your applicants have gone through this engaging online applications, how do you then go about reviewing those applications and making decisions? And so Brian and I will walk you through our two products related to making decisions.
Sounds great, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about our iPad-based version of the Decision Cloud, but what we have released recently is the web-based version, which also leverages Salesforce Community. So look forward to seeing both of those next week when Angel and I will join you again to share with you all sorts of new things that we're doing on that area. Now we've got a bunch of more questions here. We're going to be uploading a section of our site soon on FAQs. We'll be running more of these sessions. If you have more questions about the application in the meantime, please reach out to your TargetX Salesforce account exec, CRM account exec, excuse me, and your TargetX account exec to answer any of the questions regarding the application. The product team, including Angel and myself and the others on the team, are available to also answer any of your questions. We'd be glad to help you with all of that as you start to navigate some of the new things that we are delivering this year. There's a lot of new things happening at TargetX when it comes to product. We're calling it internally here the year of the product. We're really excited to start to roll out some of the things that our team, from our product team to our developers, and then into our implementation and support teams have been working hard on. So until next week for the Decision Cloud, thanks everybody for joining us, and hope that we gave you all the information to kind of wet your whistle of what's coming next, as well as how we can help improve your online application experience as well as your students' experience as well. So Angel, thanks so much for joining me, and we will talk to all of you soon.